Political debate is heating up in Kenya, and I am here, Njenga Hakina, with Nicholas Sewe. And we are looking at the possible replacement of Amina Mohammed by Kalonzo Musyoka in case she gets the AU position where she would be the Secretary General. And personally, I think Amina has done a beautiful job for Kenya. She has been amazing. We have seen the improvement that has happened in terms of foreign policy. Kenya has not had one that has been watertight, but now even Americans are finding it tough to get a Kenyan passport visa. What do you think about Amina?
Yeah, it's a very interesting development in the past few weeks following her name being forwarded for the AU chairperson position. But the only problem I have with the former ambassador Amina, is how she has been treating the issues related to Kenyans being killed in the battlefield. For example, when we lost several soldiers in the El Ade attack, and she seems to be treating the issue very casually, as if it's not a very serious issue. Yet it's really affecting how even people who want to join the forces. I mean, if you listen to a CS arguing the way she does, even in the recent interview with Al Jazeera, you'll be really concerned if she's fit for that position.
For the opposition.
Yeah.
Well, I think personally, because I really love what she does and what she's done, I believe that her position, she's not the commander-in-chief of the country, and so I don't think she's in a position to comment, on issues authoritatively. We have the Ministry of Defense. We have Rachel Omamo, we have Nkaiseri for internal security, and the two work together to ensure that the country is safe. And so in terms of whether she has done a good job in terms of who has been killed in the battlefield, I believe that despite all these challenges and being in a very high-flying position, she'll be targeted for whichever issues. And I wish her the best. But personally, I want to retain her as the Foreign Affairs Minister because she still has a lot to do in terms of making our passport stronger. We find that it is easy, very easy for any foreigner to get a visa, a Kenyan visa, whether for business, whether for tourism or whatever reason. I believe that if she left at this point, then it would mean that we will still have to be going back to the drawing board and maybe re-strategizing. Because whoever will, follow her or come after her may not be able to do what she has been doing in terms of straightening this immigration department, foreign affairs.
Now, talking about her replacement, you think that Kenya will struggle to find someone who will perfectly, if not at that level of Amina Mohammed. There is the word going round that Kalonzo Musyoka might replace her. And I think Kalonzo also has experience in looking at the years he has served as vice president. I mean, his knowledge, and also he has engaged severally with external countries in foreign matters. So, especially when you look at how he pushed for the withdrawal of cases, ICC cases facing President Kenyatta and Uhuru, I think he has experience to handle the docket.
Well, yes, he has, and let us give credit where it is due. But I think if he was to be the one succeeding Amina, it would mean that it is a political strategy for Jubilee to get votes from Ukambani. And Kalonzo has a checkered foreign policy career. He has been good, he has been presenting the country well. But if you look at his performance locally, even when he was the VP, those who come from where he is suggest that he's not accomplished much. And so my fear is that he would be going back to a docket where he has been before, but he didn't have it grow or improve as much as Amina has. And I feel that if he was to replace Amina, then we would be taking so many steps backwards. But unfortunately, we are in a country where political recycling is is chic.
Yeah, I agree.
If you look at many commissions, if you look at many offices, public offices, you'll find that whoever is heading them is because there is some political association, some self-aggrandizement for politicians and those who are in power, because they have to lock in some votes. And I hope that Kalonzo, if he is to replace Amina, I'm looking forward to a point whereby Amina will still be here.
Very interesting observation there. But I think this is a position where we should not look at political reward or reward for power or something. This is a position that requires someone who is very sober, experienced, and knowledgeable to streamline the policy of the country towards the right direction. You should not be someone who is strongly a sycophant of a certain political party. Just to bring you back to the point I was saying about Amina, if you watched that interview on Al Jazeera, she rubbished the report by the Kenya Human Rights Commission. I mean, I didn't find it very okay for a CS to do that. Yeah, so I think we require someone who is very sober, and to me, if I look around, yeah, Kalonzo would be a good replacement for her.
Well, I will still be defending Amina, and my prayer is that she doesn't get to be, to leave that soon. I wish her well, though, if she was to be
Just
the
tell me
Secretary
why you
General.
are so much attached to yes.
I've had the privilege of interacting with her. First of all, she's a very sober-headed person in terms of what she does. And looking at her career from the United Nations, being the assistant deputy executive at the UN, you can tell that it is somebody who is able to move things and make things happen. From her background, she went to a school in Butere. That is where she grew up. And seeing how she has gone up, I don't think there is any political, push. Somebody who was a godfather to her to get to where she is.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a sober person that we need, who will not be moved because somebody is coming and pushing for something to happen in the wrong way. And so in as much as she would be doing Kenya, great at the AU, I believe that at home we still have a lot for her to do. And so despite all these shortcomings in terms of the war in Somalia and other, there have been hurdles in foreign policy. I believe that she still can do so much more for this nation, and I believe that if she was to go to the end of this term with the president, I believe that we could achieve so much more. I think unless the AU position comes after, like another year.
But then don't you think we have other candidates apart from the former vice president? I mean, like we have great minds. Like sadly, I don't think he will be able to take up the position. Dr. Mukisa Kitui is one of the brightest brilliant minds we have around. So I don't know. Maybe the government can come around to find someone who can do as much as Amina Mohammed is doing.
I know, and I feel deep inside of me that we have other people, we have other Kenyans who can do that job. And if I go back to what I mentioned earlier, the problem with Kenya is that we have to politically reward. And so even if it is Muhisa who is to come, then you'll see that there is some targeting. We've had Wetangula at Foreign Affairs, but now, of course, we know the scandals that came with the Tokyo embassy and all, and the BAT scandal that he was mentioned in. We are not privy to the details apart from what we read. But I believe there are so many other Kenyans who are qualified. Like if you look at the Ministry of Transport, the guy who is in charge, the PS, is a very young guy and he's doing wonders. He's doing a good job. And so I think, yes, if we have to replace Amina, then let us look out of the politics. Look for somebody who can perform. Because also the Constitution dictates that whoever comes, it's a business-oriented person. not for politics. Yeah.
Now, looking at how our President Uhuru Kenyatta, has made his appointments, do you think he will go outside the political arena to appoint someone? You look at the appointment of Charles Keter, you look at the appointment of Mwangi Kiunjuri to replace the CSS who are allegedly accused of graft. So, do you think he will go outside politics to appoint people?
Unfortunately, maybe not. Because this is a political year and it's a time that he needs to again reposition himself for 2017. And in under 10 months, actually we have like 9 months and a few days to the next election. You find that whatever he does now has to be a strategy for 2017. Kenya unfortunately lives on politics, which do not benefit us a lot. And I don't think he will look outside of the political arena to have somebody replace Amina, if that gets to be the reality. But I hope that he would look outside the politics and get somebody who would, work for the country. Because Amina didn't come here for, politics. I don't think she was pushed by any politician to get there. But it is her career, it is her push, it is her standing as a person that has gotten her to where she is. And so I believe that if we looked outside of politics, then it would be a plus for the country. Because somebody who's not interested in pleasing some master somewhere who appointed them, then it means that they can do their job objectively.
Now, talking about our relations with the foreign countries, what are your thoughts on how the country has, in the recent past, engaged with China? I mean, we are having China taking up all the projects in the country. Just last week, Kisumu governor was complaining that now we are importing fish from China, which is affecting the economy of the county and might affect also the economy of the country at large. So, is China, engaging with China, benefiting us, or we are going to suffer in the long run?
There is a lot of suffering in the long run, unfortunately. And I know what Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs does is to negotiate deals and also to position people and leaders for such negotiations. So as much as it may be falling under Amina's docket, I don't think she gets to sign any papers. This is between the president and between those who are in leadership, above her.
In one way or another,
yes.
she's involved.
She has, yes. And so I'm getting to the question, to answer the question that you've asked about China's control in our economy. If you look at the SGR, it is overly inflated. And this is a concessioned loan for the country. And your children, unfortunately, they are burdened by this because they will have to pay. Then we have the Chinese roasting maize. They have opened kiosks in Nairobi.
Yeah.
But I don't think that falls under Amina's docket because the Nairobi City Council, for instance, is the one that is going to license whoever is going to do business in Nairobi, in Kisumu as well. And we have devolution. So if Ranguma is complaining of fish coming from China, his county administration has failed because who vets what comes in?
But you see, that's a county. Devolution is not fully responsible for whatever is happening in the country. I mean, it's still a shaky, let me call it a project, devolution, because we are still having push and pull between the national government over who is supposed to do this, who is supposed to control these resources. So we cannot entirely blame the county government of the fish importation because it's something that is affecting the entire country.
Well, we have seen, if we go back to Kisumu, 2 years back, they bought iPads and they spent millions, on those iPads, including training. Imagine being trained how to use your phone or an iPad.
Yeah.
And so you see what has happened is we have CECs, chief executive office secretaries who are in charge of different dockets. And we have one in charge of business or trade or whatever they call it at the county level. And this person should have been the first to know what is coming into Kisumu. If there is fish that is coming from China, they should have known, because Kisumu is a producer of fish.
Yeah.
And if it came from China, probably it landed in Mombasa, and it was ferried to Kisumu. If not so, it could have landed somewhere nearer Kisumu, and this fish could have been passed off as coming from Lake Victoria or wherever other place that they get to fish. So I believe that in as much as the CS and the Foreign Affairs is in charge of negotiating trade deals, there are also some things that cannot be micromanaged, because you have freedom. If you go to Kiambu, if you go to Nairobi, you will find that the assemblies, the county assemblies, have autonomy. They can decide what they want and what they don't want. And so with the skewed business that we are doing with the Chinese, I believe at some point we need soberness as well, because again, whoever gets to put pen to paper and sign for those deals, they should ensure that they're not enslaving us more than we have been already.
Now, we've had the governors also complaining that the national government is not involving them in certain projects. Like we had the health project where the national government signed a contract with an external country. Yeah. So it was a multi-billion project where the health machines were brought in, and we also had some governors saying that they will not accept these goodies. So do you think this is turning to be a political game? Because we are having the CORD side and the Jubilee side. This project is being proposed, these guys are rejecting. So is it about politics?
Yes, Kenya is a political nation. Unfortunately, you find that it was cheaper to buy the equipment than to lease, which is what most of the political elite supported. And governors, unfortunately, I think we are just wasting resources by having a replicated authority and administration of this country. I am overly represented. I have like 10 people representing me, including a women rep. You know?
Yeah.
So you find that devolution was meant for good, but it has been used politically to empower some and to kind of deny some. Because what is happening now is who has the muscle to pull this. It has become a contest between the central government and the county governments, that if you're coming to invest in Nairobi, for instance, and you're coming from the central government, you have to do this and that and that and that. We are forgetting that overall, the central government has the say in terms of what benefits the most people. And so when it comes to doing what is right, I think the central government is much more favored than the county government. But the central government was supposed to get to the grassroots through devolution. But if you go to Kiambu, for instance, what happened in the very early stages of devolution, they proposed some weird laws that I would have to cough like 20,000 to bury my a dead relative, you know, and also to slaughter chicken and such weird stuff. So in as much as county governments would have worked for the people, they also have failed, because it has become a kind of a game whereby it is who wins. We are fighting the central government, but who wins? Yeah. Because all the billions that they have been given since 2013, what have they done? We still have dirt roads in Kiambu. Yeah.
So my closing remarks on Amina Mohammed's career, so to say, I wish her all the best if she manages to clinch the AU chairperson position. That's good for her, it's good for her CV, and I wish her all the best. But I don't think Kenya will struggle to find a replacement for the CS. I mean, we have brilliant minds around who can take up the position.
Yes, and for me, I wish we could stay with her longer. I don't know how I want her to go, but yeah, I want her to stay. That's me. Yes, thank you.
All right.
For the banter.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope to engage you more in various topics in the coming weeks. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes. Good afternoon.